So welcome guys. In this video, we are going to cover the Wipro LLTH or General Wipro Written Communication Test. So this is very important. A lot of people may ignore preparing for this particular section, thinking, okay, we just have to simply write English ही तो लिखनी है, right? But it's not the case. It's actually one of the most important section. It considers of approximately 30% of your marks in the whole Wipro test, and this is very important because Wipro by nature is a outsourcing company or a service-based company, and 50% of your work on a day-to-day basis in a service-based company would be to speak to clients over calls, most importantly over emails, do requirement gathering, solve their problems over email. So they expect you to write good English, speak good English, write very amazing emails. Because if you're not able to write good emails, if you do grammar errors or punctuation errors, or if you convey the whole different meaning altogether, it becomes very difficult for the client, and the client starts to not trust you. Even if you're a good coder, but if your emails that you're writing or anything that you're writing is improper, in that case, the client will not trust you. So, which is why they have introduced this section, so that they are able to hire people who can write and speak good English and also write good emails, which are very well structured, right? So in this video, we're going to tell you how Wipro judges your, the written communication test or the essay that you have to write about a particular topic. Obviously, there are more than 2 lakhs and 3 lakh people applying for Wipro. So the essay that you're writing necessarily is not graded by a human being. They will not grade 3 lakh essays, right? So which is why what they've done, they have an AI system. Nobody is reading your essay. There is an AI system that reads or interprets your essay based on a lot of parameters, which are mostly coding based parameters. So we are going to cover what the AI system judges, and on what parts does the AI system give you marks, and what parts does it reduce your marks, right? And how you can fool the AI system completely itself, right? So that is the most important thing. We are also going to give you the grading scheme of how, what particular thing. Let's say punctuation is 5 marks and spelling mistakes is -1/2 marks. So all of that we are going to cover in this video. We're also going to cover a sample essay so that you will be able to understand what kind of things that you have to do. Also the importance of diction, the importance of structuring and signpost word, etc. A lot of you may not know what these word means, so we are going to cover that because the AI system looks upon all of these parameters, right? So make sure that you also have a pen and a notebook to make notes and watch this video completely. There's a big surprise for you at the very end of the video. Also, if you have any questions at any particular point in time, make sure that you do ask us in the comment section. The top 5 comments based upon if you are able to say something good about Prepinsta or maybe a very amazing doubt about Wipro LLTH or Wipro, we are going to give you free online classes to the top 5 comments selected by our team, right? So let's get ahead with the video. Okay, so what are the sample topics for Wipro? One of the sample topics that was asked last week, which was social media speech independence. Should it be regulated or not? This was the first one. And we have a Telegram group wherein students had shared all of these. So these are actual essays in the written communication test of the Wipro, and it may be repeated for you as well. He who has never learned to obey cannot be a good leader, so you have to write an essay about it. Influence of social media, is it evil? Tight curriculum of our current education system leaves no room for imagination and creativity. This is one. Nature provides us with much, but when we abuse nature, we risk disaster. Write a response explaining how we harm ourselves and how we harm the environment, right? So these are a few sample topics. Also, you can find a lot more sample topics on our website Prepinsta here. So the link of this page has been provided in the description of the video. So not apart from all of these topics that I have shown you here, we have around 30-40 most asked questions of Wipro essay writing, and it is good possibility. I'll say 80% chances are that your Wipro essay in the written communication test would be from that page itself. So make sure that you refer that after watching the whole video, right? So let's start with it. So the AI system is basically the exam or the exam is outsourced to Intellimetric. So Intellimetric is the same software which is used by GMAT. It's a very big company, and they use Intellimetric or similar software which grades the written communication test using the AI system that Intellimetric, which is a registered company, has developed. So Intellimetric has developed an AI system which is able to understand the meaning of your essay that you've written, and not just that, give deduct points, give points, understand the meaning, understand the idea. Are you for the topic, against the topic? So this is even better than a human being. A research was done wherein the human was able to understand only 70% of an essay, and the Intellimetric had 90% of accuracy. So it is better than a human being would or better than a human being would grade, right? So this is the platform that is used. So Intellimetric also is used by GMAT, and the following points that I'm going to discuss in the video, it gives you marks based upon these parameters, right? And this has been taken from the GMAT grading itself, right? So let's start with the first point, and this is the most important thing, which is why I had taken first in the video. So you should have a definitive approach. So what I mean by definitive approach is either you should be supporting the idea or you should be against it. You cannot jump through and forward. Okay, for example, social media, is it good or bad, right? So you cannot say, okay, social media is good in basically these characteristics. It connects people and all of that, but it is bad because people abuse on social media, people bully on social media. You cannot do that. Though if you speak to someone, yes, you can speak about pros and cons, but at least the software or the grading system that is there is approaching or is giving you 10 marks if you're following the definitive approach. So you don't jump ahead for being against on the topic and being for the topic. You have to take a definitive stand. If you're talking about social media, yes, social media is good because it connects people. Speak about all of those points, and the essay has to be around, so the length of the essay has to be around 100 to 300 words. That is what Wipro says, but we are going to also tell you the exact and the correct word that will give you the maximum number of marks. So, in this particular number of words, you have to write a definitive approach based on points. So, the length also we are going to cover in the future slides, that what is the most ideal length for you. Alright. So, if we look at the next point is basically, so this definitive approach gives you 10 marks, right? If you sway away from the definitive approach one time, it reduces 1 marks. Automatically, it will give you 10 marks. But if you say something, if you took the stand for, but if you say something bad about your for, or if you go against it once, it will deduct 1 mark. So the maximum marks for definitive approach is 10 automatically. Starting itself, you get 10. And then they start reducing based upon if you swayed away and if you jumped around against the topic, right? The punctuation and the next thing is the most important, and it is one thing that you can ignore. Okay, so here the next important thing is the punctuation and the capitalization. So basically it is negative marking. They do not give you any positive marks, but they will give you negative marks if you do any error. So for example, capitalization, what happens is Wipro will give you a box wherein you will have to, which is basically a text editor, and you will start writing it. Now, what by capitalization they mean is obviously the first letter from where you are writing for each particular paragraph has to be capitalized. So first thing is that I'll also write first letter should be capital. Then the next thing would be if there's a noun or pronoun. If you're saying, let's say Ram, or if you're, let's say, saying strawberry, if you're using nouns and nouns importantly, right, that has to be capital. If you're using the name of a place, for example, which is also a noun, it should be capital, right? So all of those mistakes you try to avoid. Punctuation is very important because not just full stop, right? What people do is they will write the whole paragraph and then they will forget to put full stop after it. Now half marks has been deducted, and not just that. So for example, let me give you an example here for this one. However, the mentor should work upon identifying the interest of the student because that is more important. Now, there are 3 different types of punctuation. The first different punctuation is after this, however. A lot of students will miss that, -1/2 marks here, right? The next thing is because you are portraying one particular idea, you are quoting something, identifying the interest. Or for example, if you are quoting the name of a book, wherein you are giving the reference of, okay, also book by Mahatma Gandhi, or let's say book by George R.R. Martin, The Songs of Ice and Fire, right? So if you write The Songs of Ice and Fire, it knows, it is intelligent enough to know that there should be a quotation before the example that you are giving here, right? So this is one thing that you need to follow. Then again, that's the most important thing. So either you can write that is, right? But if you are writing it as that's, you have to put an apostrophe after it, and then again a full stop. So if you forget to put this, minus 1 by 2 marks. If you forget to put this, minus 1 by 2 marks. Then again full stop, minus 1 by 2, then again minus 1 by 2. So these are small things that a lot of people ignore, but you make sure that you do not ignore them. Alright, let's move ahead to the next thing. So paragraphization is the next important thing, right? Now what it means by paragraphization is basically you have to break down your paragraphs or break down your essay into minimum 3 paragraphs. That is what we suggest, and that is basically 10 marks. If you write everything in 1 paragraph, 0 marks. If you write everything in 2 paragraphs, you will get 5 marks. If you write anything, the whole thing in 3 to 7 paragraphs, again, you will get 10 marks. But if also the number of paragraphs is greater than 10, right, in that case, they will start deducting marks for it. So, anywhere between 3 to 7 is what we suggest. But 7 to 10 is a good number, because if in case you have to give points, right? So make sure that you follow that. Right. So minimum 3 paragraphs is what you should write. The first paragraph, ideally, I will personally say 3 paragraphs. Or if in case you have to put points, then maybe 2 or 3 points is enough. So it will come down to 3 plus 2 is 3 plus 3 is 6. So the first one should have the introduction, right? Then the next one would have the body, wherein you are discussing about it. You are firstly introducing the topic, and then the next paragraph you are discussing about it. Maybe you gave 2-3 points regarding the body itself. You break down the body into 2-3 small paragraph, and then finally one would be conclusion, right? So I will also cover more about the different introduction, body, conclusion later in the video itself. So the paragraphization is 10 marks. Next, okay, so spellings are the most important thing, and it's very easy for the AI system to grade you for the spellings. So if you write wrong spellings, in that case, minus 1 by 2 is given to you for each wrong spelling. Now, obviously, it is not a word editor, or you do not have Grammarly, etc. on the tool that is there, right? So which is why, even if you think, let's say, if you write the spelling of however, just by fastly typing how, because you typed fastly, instead of R being at the last, you wrote E at the last. So sometimes in typing happens, so a word get misplaced here and there. So avoid that. Proofread your articles, write slowly. There's enough time for you. You get 1 question, and the time given for it is 20 minutes, right? So avoid spelling errors. The maximum negative markings for spelling is capped at 20 marks. So if you can make 40 spellings, which is a disaster though, but then again, the maximum marks that will be deducted would be minus 20, right? So let's move ahead to the next one. Okay. So the next one is diction. A lot of you would not understand the meaning of diction, and you will say, okay, what is diction? I do not even know that, and which is what the AI system grades. There are 10 marks for diction. So what happens is, diction is basically, if you write, let's say, a 300 words paragraph or 300 words essay. Diction is basically counting the unique words. Let's say you wrote 300 words, and out of those 300 words, approximately 200 words were unique. So let's say if you write is 20 times, right? And if you write that 10 times, right? So diction is basically counting such words that have been used again and again. Diction base basically number of unique words, that is 200. 200 divided by 300, that is the value of diction. In that case, your diction should be high. That is, you should use the maximum variety of words. It is not important. So we've seen that a lot of fake YouTube channels on regarding placements have uploaded wrong information completely about it. What they say, use good words. It is not important. Don't use fancy words. Don't remember fancy words. The platform will not give you marks for using difficult words, fancy words. It may also cause problem that you do not understand the meaning of the word, and then maybe you do spelling errors and all of that. It will not give you marks for using fancy words. However, the words that you should be using should be different, should be unique. So, try using, articles less, try using pronouns less, have a lot of different variety of words. Maybe write it once, and then when you're proofreading it, change a word, count the number of words that you have used multiple number of times, and use a synonym of that particular word that fits better. So in that case, you're increasing your diction, right? So diction is basically 10 marks, and we do not exactly know that, for example, the density of diction is, let's say, 80%. Okay. So I am not sure if 80% is given 10 marks and 70% is given 9 marks. So we do not know exactly in detail, but then at least we know diction is 10 marks, right? So the worst case scenario will tell you use variety of words, but using fancy word is not important. You can use because that is variety, but then again, it's not the parameter that they are judging you for. Okay. Excuse me. So structuring is the next thing that gives you 10 marks. So as I was telling you, structure your argument into the paragraph. So which is very important. Paragraphization is, 10 marks, but structuring the paragraphs is important. So the first paragraph should always be about introduction. So as we all know, and social media has been in the influence of social media has grown in India since Facebook was launched. Students and people started using Facebook and other social media sites in late 2010. So that is when social media exploded. So you start introducing the topic, and then in the next body section, that is arguments and exploration, then you say, however, social media. So first you introduce what is social media, all of that, and then you say, okay, but social media is being abused right now. Rather than connecting people, it is being used to bully people. It is being used to post negative comments. It is being used to spread fake news. And then you can mention in the third paragraph some examples. So for examples, in Bangladesh, social media was used against native Rohingyas, wherein they have to move to different countries because negative hate speeches was spread about a particular community in Bangladesh. And that is the power of social media, that lakhs of people had to migrate because of social media campaign against a particular community and caste, right? And then finally, maybe one more paragraph you write about a few examples and deductions and exploration or arguments. Finally, your conclusion. Okay, so finally you're concluding. So according to me, or the conclusion of the topic, you can simply write, okay, just give everything to the grading system. Write it as simply, okay, I finally conclude that social media is negative if there is no proper government overseeing, or if there's no any regulation on how people are using social media. So use words like does, use words like I conclude, all of these which convey meaning of conclusion. You can find that in a lot, how to conclude. You can just Google that, and then you will be able to find different ways of how you can conclude your argument, right? So basically, this is one more parameter that is there for Wipro NLTH or Wipro written communication test. The next one is very important, that is use of signpost word. Now, what are signpost words? Signpost words are like although, however, then does, nevertheless. So all of these words that convey a constructive change in the idea. Although, however, because, all of these words which convey, okay, this is the reason, this is the constructive idea. So you can Google what are signpost words, and you will get the list of all those signpost words. So ideally, I will suggest use at least 5 to 7 signpost word. You can use more than that, but not below 5, because that is what I will suggest. 5 marks are given for the usage of signpost words in the essay writing section or the written communication test of Wipro, right? Okay, then this is the most important and the very basic thing. The length cap, however, Wipro says is 100 to 300, right? But the AI system that is there is basically suggesting you to, or is giving you full marks for, so there is no marks though for length, there is penalty for length, okay? Which is basically if you exceed more than 300, there is -1 by 2 marking, I guess. So we do not know the exact bifurcation, but maybe -1 by 2 marking per extra 10 words. So if you write 310 words, -1 by 2. If you write 320 words, -1. If you write 330 words, maybe minus or 1.5 marks minus is given to you. Same for negative. If you write 190, -1 by 2. If you write 180, in that case, -1, so on and so forth. So the length cap is at 200 and 300. Also, one more important thing, that the editor will not give you bullet points like these or numbering system, etc., etc. So do not use bullet points at your own, like this, like this, like this, all of that, right? So make sure that it is only in paragraph format. You don't manually write 1.0, 2.0 or 1.3 dot, so on and so forth. This is very important. Just write paragraphs. Short paragraphs. If you have to give example, include that in paragraph itself, right? So this is a common misconception that the students follow. Okay, so the best strategy and hacks that I will say, write first. Do not, you can simply start by writing the whole essay at once, but make sure that you reiterate, right? Write all the points as draft. So you can write a draft essay and then frame the sentences on it. You can use the edit and improve strategy, that you write the whole essay and then you proofread it again and then edit the points, use variety of words, maybe look for spelling errors. Maybe sometimes if you may understand that, okay, this word can have alternative, which is a signpost word, so let me use a signpost word, right? All proofreading is very important. I will say give 5 minutes to proofreading and edit and improve strategy for the test, right? So this becomes very, very important and very, very vital, right? Moving further, so this is the summary, that is or summary of the marks that is given. I will suggest you take a screenshot of this particular page so that you always have it in your phone, and before writing the exam, you can just go by it and refresh upon it, right? So as I told you, definitive approach, punctuation, capitalization, paragraphization, spelling, diction, structuring of words, using signpost words, length, all of these have marks. Some have 10 marks, or some have positive marks, and some do not have marks, but they have penalty, right? So make sure that you use all of these very importantly. So let's go to the sample essay here. So this is a particular sample essay that one of the student had written. Now there's a few amount of good things are there. It's written by one of our students, which is, yes, he's introducing the topic that media has become the limelight of entertainment industry. It provides information on each and every aspect. It also aids the dissemination. It's good, but initially he had written the wrong spelling of this word, right? Every nook and corner of the globe, there are types of media in the world, such as this. So this is very important because 10 marks are given for structuring, right? So, and structuring examples are very important, such as, so this is also, such as is also a signpost word, and such as examples are given. And then providing way of communication. The following are the way it can influence the society. Now, the point is, he had manually written this here. Now, you do not do that. You do not write 1.0, 2.0 and 3.0. You can just simply give it a short paragraph, give free spaces before and after the paragraph without giving this. The editor will not give you option to write or format using how you get in Word and everything, right? So here it is good, very good body, very good example. Media can have a negative impact as they believe whatever is shown on the TV and social website. As a result of it, most youngsters get addicted to it, which may take a toll on their physical and mental well-being. Example, adult content can cause a lot of problems in young minds. So as example, so this was the best thing of what this particular guy has done. He's giving constant examples, right? So good points for maybe writing the first introduction, good point for writing the following are the ways, good points for writing word as such as, good points for example that he's written. And then finally we can conclude that the media is a double-edged sword. It has both advantages and disadvantages. However, so I would have used however here. If used properly, the media can be as assets to society, or else it can cause a social upheaval across the society. Now, this is correct, but the AI will understand, okay, you were for or you were against the topic, but later on you started doubting yourself and then you mentioned some points for it as well. So maybe you mention for it, but do not mention in conclude. In conclusion, it should be the social media is negative if there is no proper regulation by the government, if students or if children under the age of 13 are using social media, it can have a negative impact. Do not say positive things in conclusion. You can mention, you can have your own arguments of positive and negative here in the body. You can have it here in the body of positive and negative, but never in the conclusion, right? So again, reiterating, good points that was mentioned here. That is, introduction was good, using examples were good, then using the word following and then writing articulation were good here. But here conclusion, finally I conclude, this is also right, but using both for and against here in the conclusion is completely incorrect, right? Okay. So finally, what I would say, that make sure that you follow all the points mentioned in the video. It would be very, very helpful for you. And this is a sample. The one more thing that he's done wrong is he's used more than 300 words, which is a penalty. So what I personally told him, use lesser words. This is very good, but a few things are wrong here and there, right? So basically, whatever I mentioned in the video, follow all of them.